Hi, are you going into year 10 soon? Are you deliberating as to whether to take biology in your IGCSE exam? I am going to help you arrive at that decision by telling you what is the content that you will learn in IGCSE Biology 0610 and who you ought to be in order to really do well and enjoy the subject, and why you should learn the subject or sit for IGCSE Biology in your IGCSE exam. What is biology? There are 21 chapters in biology, but there is not much point in me listing the titles of all the 21 chapters. It would be more meaningful if I tell you more briefly about what is covered by the content in these 21 chapters, right? So first of all, biology is the study of living organisms. So that is, I think, something that you already know, but I have to tell you that again. And therefore, all of the content that we are going to learn are content that is considered important for you to know about living organisms at this stage. Okay, so the first information, or the first type of information or content that will be covered, is the physical characteristics of living organisms and how we use these physical characteristics to classify these organisms, right? So we use a system to classify, and we will learn the system and therefore the four major groups that they will be classified into and the more intricate stages of classification. So I won't get into the detail of that. Suffice to know that we learn to classify living organisms into groups based on physical characteristics. Right. The second type of information that we will learn is about the physical processes, physical and chemical processes and reactions in living organisms. When we are learning about this physical and chemical processes and reactions in living organism, we will be learning about these across various levels of the organization of a living organism. So as such, another type of content that we will cover throughout these 21 chapters are about the levels of organization of an organism, which can be broken down into an organism's most basic building blocks, cells, and a group of cells make up tissue, and tissues made of specialized cells becomes organs, and organs then form organ systems. A few organs form organ systems, and each organ system carries out an important living process or function, and multiple organ systems together become the whole organism. So when we are exploring the organization and the physical and chemical processes, we will be addressing this for mainly human beings, and sometimes we look at some animals just to contrast when there are significant differences between reactions and physical and chemical processes between human beings and these animals. But mainly we will be looking at human beings and plants. yeah, where there are no organ systems, especially in plants, then we just look at the functions just to compare, right? So the fourth type of content that we will learn, this forms the largest component of the content, yeah. So we will be looking at organ systems and their functions in human beings, some other animals for comparison, and also plants. So what are the organ systems and functions that we will be looking at? We will be looking at the digestion system. We will be looking at the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the excretory system, the endocrine system, the nervous system, and the reproductive system. And looking at all of these, we will learn specific functions of these systems. Yeah? And at this stage, don't you find biology so interesting and so relevant and so important? Yes, you will learn a lot of important knowledge about your own body, right? And the fifth component is my favorite actually. This is all about variation and inheritance. Yes, you will learn all about genetics in this component. And you will know why you look the way you do, where you got it from, what is the inner coding, that made you the way you are. This is so interesting. And the sixth component is, of course, the interdependence of living organisms on one another and their environment. And interdependence between organisms and environment, right? So this sums up the content that you will be learning. It is so exciting, it is so interesting. So if you find this interesting and exciting, I think you should consider signing up for biology. Why should you study biology? The first reason, of course, as I have just finished telling you, the scope of the content. The second reason why you should study biology is because when you study biology, you will develop a very useful skill called critical thinking skills due to the nature of the learning objects and the relationships between the learning objects. And when you learn how to answer questions, whether it is in classroom practice or in monthly tests or past year exam questions, as you analyze the questions and formulate the best answer to the questions, considering the marks assigned, the weightage assigned to each question, you will really develop a very good sense of critical thinking. And the third reason is because you will improve your English tremendously, both in terms of the way you structure sentences, and also you will widen your vocabulary significantly, albeit within the terms and words used in biology. But this does improve your confidence significantly, and therefore you will find yourself speaking English more confidently and fluently in other contexts as well. The fourth reason is because you develop a thorough understanding of your body, and this will inform your decisions not only in terms of your physical well-being, but also it will inform your choices when it comes to your social life. For example, choice with regard to whether you want to smoke or not, or do you want to succumb to the temptation of that occasionally, or rather that occasional alcohol consumption, or even when you're making key decisions like sex, right? And the fifth reason is that you will develop good values as a human being, specifically with regard to becoming a compassionate human being who cares for other living organisms and nature as a whole, the environment, and this will probably be a deterrent against you making choices that could be of detriment to other living organisms and your environment. The sixth reason is because when you learn biology, you will learn not only the subject matter, but you will learn learning strategies that you can apply to other subjects at the same level, and also you can carry these learning strategies that you have learned onto your higher studies from this point beyond. And of course, finally, there will be a lot of moral values embedded within each chapter. You will understand when you take the subject. And finally, who you should be in order to learn biology and do well in biology. You should be someone who is quite good in both science and humanities, because biology is really the subject that bridges between science and humanities. And to start with, if you had pretty good mastery of the English language, that would be a good thing. And you must be curious about your own body. And the fourth thing, you must be a diligent and disciplined learner, because there is time investment and work ethics involved on your part, right? So you ought to be diligent and disciplined. And the fifth thing is, you must be able to write a lot in legible handwriting and quite fast. Yeah, so you must be able to write quite well. That is quite important. And you must appreciate nature and other living organisms. So you must have a deep appreciation for all living organisms in general and nature. So if you're all of these things, biology will be a breeze for you, and you probably walk away with an easy A star. Hope you've decided to take up biology.